good morning, Chi Chi fams.
Good morning. Good morning.
You can still hear me okay, right, Lisa?
Yes.
All right, no Charles today, just you and me. It's gonna be
Yeah.
sad.
Get an
But
update on the inspections and stuff the next week.
yes, he's gonna definitely let us know what is going on in that industry next week. But good morning. We got a lot to cover today. Um, market updates, a lot of stuff going on that's affecting Californians. One, the fire that just happened. I think it's in Tracy, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's not good. Um, Governor Newsom mentioning that insurance rates may increase some more
Again. Uh-huh.
again this some more this year, so that's not good. And if we have more time, more reaction videos, um, all of that. So yeah, let us go ahead and start doing all the good stuff. Just give me a moment. Let me just do something real quick on my end. Just give me a moment. How's your week so far, Lisa?
It's good. Yeah. How's yours?
Productive.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Productive. Busy month.
I know. This is wonderful.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you can take off a little bit next month, huh, Chia? Just a little bit
I,
before it starts to get busy again.
well, if it does happens, it happens, right? We're just gonna still have to go on with it and do our best, right?
Yeah.
That's just how it is, So I think we'll do good. I think we will do good. Um, okay, I'm finishing up here. Just give me a quick second. Okay, cool. We are good to go. All right, let's do a quick market update. Let me just share my screen real quick. There we go. Let's look at the numbers. Oh, you could already tell inventory is going up. Look at that. 2% increase just from last week.
It's these summer
Uh,
months.
yeah, it's pretty normal, Um, everybody's waiting for this summer, and now it's summer, so inventory is definitely going up. New listings are down though from last week, 5%. And if you look on the chart, it's this blue line. It's pretty steady, up, down, but overall it's pretty steady. Um, Pending homes are down from last week, 11%. Sold homes are up 1% from last week. Because if you look again, pretty steady. What's going on, Jim? Good morning. Sold home data is also pretty steady as well, week after week. Up, down, but so far it's kind of steady. Month over month, inventory is up 3% compared to last month. New listings are down 15%. Sold homes are down almost 20%. Pending homes are up 0.5%. And from last year, inventory is 45% more this year than it is last year. 45%. New
Wow.
listings, yeah, I know, right? 45%, Lisa. New listings, no change, 0%. Sold homes are actually down compared to last year, same time by 7%, but pending homes are up. 12%. Okay. Average price per square foot. Look at that, all over the place. 4% decrease, average price per square foot from last week. 1% decrease from last month. But it is 1% higher this year than it is last year, same time. Average price per square foot. Let's go look on the days on the market. Pretty steady right here. Days on the market pretty steady as well. This week, 26 days on average for a home to be off the market. Last week it was 24 days, so 2 days difference. Last month, this month is faster, 22 days on average. Last month was 23 days on average. Last year, 18 days on average, same time. But this year, 22 days on average. Still very fast, right, Lisa? 22 days is
Mm-hmm.
fast. So if you guys didn't know, now you know it's very fast. Let's go to average price sold. Active price is down from last week, 1%, but sold price is up. Just a tiny tab, 612,000 this week versus 610,000 last week. And from last month, average price is actually down by a tiny tad. Active price, no change. Last year, though, we have an increase of average sold price this year, 620 versus 609,000. All right. I know I've mentioned this before, but let me just kind of go over it again. I'm not I'm doing all the homes, so there's no limit to the criteria, the square footage, conditions, year built, location. It's only Sac County, Sacramento County only. So bear that in mind. This is all homes, okay? Condos, single families, etc., duplexes, you name it, it's all in here. Okay, so this is like pretty um pretty average, just pretty general information overall. It's not like fine tuned to like just a single family, because when I do that, it does change a bit. Not by much, but it does change. Okay. But this again is a good indicator. So yeah, sold prices are still higher than last year. Okay, despite um inventory being higher, despite the pool of buyers, despite interest rates. Okay. Let's go over to months worth of inventory. 1.9 versus 1.2 from last year. Last month was 1.4. Um, More inventory for sure, but not enough to shift the market. Okay, not enough. And since we're in the towards the end of June, we're not getting those crazy numbers like the beginning, right, Lisa? Where it was like 4 months.
Yeah,
There wasn't that much data yet since it was the beginning of the week, but
right.
as we're looking now, it's a little bit more accurate. So 1.9 month worth of inventory, almost 2 months, not enough to create a curve in the market or change the direction of the competition, anything like that. So just bear that in mind, Chi fams. Any questions? Any comments from anybody? Something you want to know more in depth? If you do, just put it in the comment section and we will answer it accordingly. Okay. Um, if you guys want me to try to go into like a different county, because like I said, this is all in Sac County. If you guys want me to go to like, El Dorado County, any other county besides Sacramento or combined with it, because maybe you're in that market, let me know. I could always go into it and then we could look at the numbers then. But I like to do Sac County because this is majority of where all of my clients are, and this is majority of uh, where people ask. So that's why I go over Sac County. But I know there's a few of you guys that go into different markets, so just let me know. I do not mind sharing that data. Okay, but let's go over the mortgage. Lisa, look at
All
that.
right. Look at that, guys. It's teetering up a little bit. Okay. So again, this is what I say when I say, hey, if if pricing is still good for you and whatnot, go ahead and lock it. Don't gamble right now, especially if you are already in escrow. Go ahead, and it's looking like it might even trend up even more so. So on the consumer side, you don't see it as being a huge difference. The last time it was a little, I think it was like 7.02. The week that we had it good was at 6.98. So you see, even though it's going up and down, it's really not that big of a change. So if you're able to, go ahead and lock.
Yeah, and for those of you guys that are listening only and not watching, I just like to kind of go over with you guys right now what the rates are currently at 6:12 a.m. on a Thursday. Conventionals at 7.06. 15-year fix is 6.47. Jumbo loans are at 7.27%. ARM is at 7.04. FHA is at 6.51. And VA is at 6.52. Again, if your credit, your DTI, all of that is different, it may change. This is not going to be your situation, okay? And depending on when you actually lock, like what Lisa mentioned earlier, the rates are not going to be like this, okay? So again, don't go to your loan officer and be like, she said that it's at this amount. Why did it change so fast? It's because rates change fast. They change daily. They change hourly. Okay, so just be aware of that. Okay, and that is the mortgage. You got anything you want to share with the Chi fams, Lisa?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, well, I mean, I do want to talk about the fire, because if you're
Yeah.
looking at here, let me just share this real quick. So look at this. Newsom and administration releases plan that could speed up California insurance prices. And this is something that's already been in the works because I got a buddy um in the insurance industry that he told me that insurance this year might get worse before they get better,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for sure this year, insurance is gonna keep going up a lot higher than what we're seeing right now. And man, it is brutal, Lisa. Like I have a client right now that's looking in the mountains, right? Or like
Mm-hmm.
El Dorado County, those areas where there's a lot of wildfires in the past. And insurance for fire alone up there is like $7,000 to $8,000 on like a 1,200 square foot home. That is that is crazy. And I was speaking to some of the agents over there, some of the listing agents over there, and they're kind of telling me a lot of owners over there are trying to get rid of their homes right now or rent them out while it's on the market just because they can't afford the fire insurance alone because they've gotten used to what the rates were 5+ years ago, and then all of a sudden it just tripled, and then now they can't afford it, so their only option is to sell it. And some of the homes, while they're selling it, they're renting out rooms just to kind of cover costs for the fire insurance alone.
Right.
And most of these owners own the property outright. It's just the insurance that's kicking their butt.
Right.
Do you have a lot of agents right now that are looking in those areas?
Not particularly, but I mean, we've had this situation before. I had my Sonoma home and everything, and as soon as we purchased it, we had to deal with that situation too with the fire, and that one was the Santa Rosa one. So this is going to hurt a lot of the home sales for sure. And when we had to switch to California Fair Plan only, it was tremendously expensive, and our home was 2,100 square feet, and we were paying a pretty penny. It was, I think, about almost 8,000 a year.
Hmm. And it's
A
not
year,
any
just
like big old house or a big acreage or anything like that either.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, it's just getting ridiculous. But let's just read this article real quick from the SACB. Governor Newsom administration released a highly anticipated proposal meant to speed up California's review of price increase for home and automotive coverage that the governor said weeks ago was needed to provide urgent help while the state faces severe insurance turmoil. The draft version released Tuesday requires the Department of Insurance to more quickly evaluate price hikes that companies must request and have approved before they go into effect. Yet the plan was immediately met with the threat of a legal challenge. The time it currently takes the agency to sign off on rate changes has frustrated insurances, yes, who argue higher prices are needed to stem losses due to catastrophe wildfires. Yeah. Growing risk from climate change and inflation, major companies have limited and cut back coverage in recent years, leaving Californians with fewer options to turn to and bills that jump every year. The Personal Insurance Federation of California, which represents large companies including State Farm, Allstate, Farmers, expressed support for the proposal. The plan is an important part of restoring a healthy insurance market. Basically, there's a lot of claims going on, nothing we haven't heard before. So it's affecting a lot of these bigger companies and it's affected a lot of smaller companies. That's why a lot of small companies left California. And now these companies that are still currently here, they are in the business of for making money. So they're asking for rate hikes. And with the wildfires that's been going on, like all of this, it's it's not helping, you know. Um, I'll be honest with you, Lisa. I do this a lot, but my conspiracy theorist side is coming out saying, "Are these wildfires man-made? Like, is there? I don't know. Like,
Knew you were going to say that. I was like, oh boy. Well, we get into that. I mean, I don't blame you, Chia. I really don't blame you because all of a sudden we're getting all of this in the last past few years. Insurance has a reason to pull out and go even higher. We don't know what's really behind the scenes on all of this, right? And the
right?
sad truth is, it's like, hey, we as we as Californians, we didn't start this fire yet. Here we are paying for this situation and everything. It's like, yeah, it's a dire situation, and we're here to help and everything like that. But more and more so, Californians are already feeling a tight squeeze from the tax that we already currently have to
Oh yeah.
pay, and now it's going to be even more so. And it's just, that's all the reason why I think that interest rate's going to continue to rise, because as long as people continue to want to keep their homes and whatnot, right? And it's going to, he's squeezing money out of somewhere.
Homeowners, buyers, everything. And I so of course I own an RV. Everybody knows that. And I joined these Facebook groups, right? And so many people on there are saying, I just sold my house in California and now I'm a full-time RVer. Can't believe I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Because everything is so expensive now.
Mm-hmm.
So like I won't even be surprised if they find a way to start taxing RVers. I remember last year, when the hike of everything was going up, there was a lot of people that was squatting rivers. They're on boats squatting rivers.
Uh,
They're anchoring down, living in their boats.
I think I've seen that actually when we go, river rafting and things like that. I'm seeing more and more so.
More and more boats.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes
Yeah.
sense now.
And
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 it's
and, and
unfortunate
it's
that people are forced to feel like, hey, we're not technically homeless, but we really can't, you know, continue to do paycheck to paycheck and rent out like this. So it's cheaper to get that boat. It's cheaper to squat at the rivers, like you said, Chia, right? So far, I don't know if is there any regulations on that. I'm thinking if there is, it's not really enforced yet, but it will
not yet.
be.
Of
Yeah,
course, eventually, right? Just
yeah,
that's just how it is. It takes time for these things to take into effect, but they're gonna find a way to get their tax money somehow, some way.
yeah,
So I thought that was pretty interesting. But this is on SAC B. Everybody could go and read these. But right now, the top headline for news is this fire.
yeah.
I wonder where they get these names from. The Apache fire. Is it kind of like hurricanes in Florida, where when there's a hurricane, they call it something else to memorize it by?
Well, that's a good question. I really don't know how they place these names on the fires and whatnot. Let's Google that. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? But yeah, there's fires going on. People's getting evacuated now in Tracy, around Butte County, and they're being forced out of their homes. Like a lot of acreages and even some homes are getting burned down right now. So it's pretty sad and very unfortunate. I mean, I hope it's not man-made. I know that's just my conspiracy side coming out and saying stuff. I don't have any proof. It's just me saying it. I'm not claiming anything, but it's just wild for me to imagine like wildfire being this huge. So yeah, hopefully everybody's safe and
Yeah.
sound, and hopefully you guys evacuated. You guys got the warnings. Some people I know like to kind of go crazy and just try to do what they can.
Oh,
But
yeah. And
yeah,
those people who are Bay Areans or East Bays that are community from Sacramento, stay safe, guys. I mean, this is huge. We hope that everybody's going to be safe and be okay.
yeah. There's another headline I wanted to share. Remember this? Remember I sent this to you?
Yes, yes.
Let's talk about this. This is in San Francisco, everybody. Let's just watch the video. How about that? Oops. Let me just turn that off. It's too loud.
Hill that drew a long line of It's a one-of-a-kind listing in Russian Hill that drew a long line of prospective buyers last week.
My husband came in and said, "You've got to look out the window." And there was a line from the house all the way to the middle of the block right here.
This 1,100 square foot home at 30 Northview Court in San Francisco has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, and it's for sale for about $500,000. That price tag is definitely raising eyebrows among neighbors like Isla Smith.
Selling for 400.
That is super below market price. No wonder there's a long ass line. You say you saw this home, right?
Yep, yep.
Let's keep watching.
88,000. I don't know what to make of it.
It all came as a big surprise to all of us here on the street.
The listing posted on Zillow said,
Do you know why it came to a surprise to the owners? Because selling this home that much, like basically half off below market price, is definitely gonna affect the neighborhood comps
Yeah,
of
yep.
those homes. That's
Nope.
why they're pissed off.
Yep, for real. It's pending since the 21st too, by the way.
Of this month.
Yep. Eh,
Yeah, almost half off the market comps in this area. This is San Francisco, y'all. So yeah, neighbors are definitely not gonna be happy with that if it sells at that price.
says the home is tenant occupied and to be sold as is. The buyer won't be able to move in until 2053. That's another 30 years.
Mhm.
So let me just answer that question I hear you guys asking. How is that even legal? It's legal if it's in the offer terms and the sellers is selling it as is, comes with a tenant, and there's a lease agreement between the property and the tenant that states they're going to be staying here for this amount, then whoever that buys it, most likely it's going to be an investor now, because a first-time home buyer, their loan might not even approve, right? Because they got to move in within 90 days, right? First-time home buyer.
Correct.
Yeah. So the fact that it has a tenant and the tenant can't move out until that many years down the line, the banks are probably going to be like, no, we're not going to even give you the money for this. Like, even if it appraises for $1 million and it's only going for 500,000. Yeah.
Correct.
So only an investor will be able to buy this. And man, like, how would you feel? Because Lisa, you're an investor too. This is your area, right? Bay Area. So like, how would you feel buying this
Yeah.
home?
I mean, I was looking at it myself, right? But I believe that that the current tenants were paying like 400 something amount of rent, and I was like, oh man, I can't even pay for this portion. Either one, we pay in cash, so there is no loan holding costs and whatnot. But I was like, okay, let's say we park $500,000 in there, and you make $500 every single month. But again, you're not making that
Tax.
much. Pardon me, 400 something dollars, and then you manage all of the expenses and things like that. I was like, okay, that's a long game for sure. And realistically, if when I was looking at this, it's like, okay, if the rent paid for the mortgage itself, absolutely, because then that's something that I could give to my kids, right? It wouldn't be for something that I would benefit right off the bat right now, but absolutely I would consider something like this. But for this small of a price, it's a little bit too risky for my blood. But I was trying to look at how much this home would be worth. But right now, it's only showing it's worth a little bit more than what they're selling it for. And really, I'm thinking it's either 2 to 3 times more expensive.
It is. I mean, I don't know the exact insurance amount, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure the insurance alone is probably not enough to cover the rent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if they're only paying that little, oh my gosh! And
Yeah.
and I don't even know if an investor buying this property would be able to even increase rents.
It's going to be really, really super difficult. San Francisco is not landlord friendly. So yeah,
California in general.
yes, that's true, but some cities way more so. I mean, we are a lot more friendly.
Yeah, here in Sacramento for sure.
Mhm.
Let's continue watching.
The new owner would have to buy the house subject to a very long rental lease that is currently being offered to an individual.
According to the listing, the current tenant will continue to live there and pay the same amount of rent every month.
The current tenant pays $417 a month
Okay.
for rent.
We went to the offices of Park North Real Estate, hoping to talk to the 2 real estate agents listing the property. No one was available to comment. We then talked to an attorney specializing in landlord-tenant law.
For some reason, they gave this person a 30-year right of possession. I've seen that before. It's kind of a sloppy way of estate planning. Like, I want to leave some security to this person so they don't have to worry about where they're going to live. And they do it that way. I think they should have done it a different way.
Attorney Stephen McDonald says the home will be sold as is with the stated conditions. Take it or leave it.
It's for a very, very unique buyer that's willing to get a big discount, maybe, 2/3, maybe pay $1 million for a $3 million house and wait 10 or 20 years before you can move in.
A bargain for someone if they're willing to wait. In San Francisco, Suzanne Fawn, ABC 7 News.
So that just makes me think of, this is just a retirement plan then,
Correct.
right? I mean,
Correct.
it can't be worthwhile. Can you imagine in 30 years how much this home is going to be worth?
Absolutely. I mean, right now it's already worth 2 to 3 times more already,
Yep,
right? So
for
it's kind of like
sure.
where you just have half a million just to park it there, right? And then also you have to consider the fact with all the maintenance and the insurance and everything like that. So let's assume that you're going to put in another $500 to $1,000 every single month. And really, if you're putting 500 to 1,000, take a look at the S&P 500, take a look at the bonds, take a look at high yield savings and things like that, and compare whether or not it's doable for you. Right now, it wouldn't be for an investor that has you know uh, that barely has that to cover. This is somebody that's probably has a great portfolio
Yep.
and a little bit of wiggle room or a little bit more wiggle room to do more repairs, more maintenance, and everything like that. I'm a little bit curious because the attorney stated that this was a sloppy way to do estate planning. What happens? And so I'm going to assume that they left this for a family member in need, right? The tenant was a family member that was in need. And what happens if they pass?
Mm.
Can it then? Can they then move in? I'm assuming yes, but
Yeah, it is. I'm
yeah,
assuming also because then the lease agreement is with that individual, not with their family line, or it's not kind of like there's beneficiaries attached to it, right? Because it's just a
right,
lease.
right.
It can, now that I think about it, it can be worthwhile. But hold on, let me just find out the address again because I'm curious. I want to look
Yeah,
into it, unless you know the address.
One of a kind
yeah.
listing in
Okay, what is
Mhm.
it?
Hold on, let me go in.
Russian Hill that drew a long line of prospective buyers last week.
My husband came in and said, "You've got to look out the window." And there was a line from the house all the way to the middle of the block right here.
This 1,100 square foot home at 30 Northview Court
30 Northview Court.
Mhm.
488. 3-2. It's pending. Okay, pending. That means they accepted an offer already. So that means somebody really did buy it. But
Mhm.
what I'm interested in though is something else.
I'm more interested in how much they sold it for.
Well, it hasn't sold yet, so we'll find out what it's sold for.
Because I think there could have been a bidding war for it too. There's plenty
So
of investors in the Bay Area that would absolutely pick this up.
so look right here, okay, everybody. This is what I want you guys to see. You see how much it jumped in property taxes alone? $16,000. And the tax assessment is 1.4. See, so that's how much this home can potentially go for, right?
Hmm.
So just imagine you as a homeowner, you're used to just paying 1,700 a year on property tax, and then it freaking 10x's
Yeah.
basically to $16,000, almost 17, right? How much is that? That's like, so your monthly property tax is $1,400 a month. You're
Yeah.
losing money from the rent alone, not including the utility costs, unless the tenant's paying for all of that, which I doubt they are. Um, so monthly property tax on this home alone is $1,400 already and some change. That's not including insurance
Yeah.
because it's a rental.
Yep.
You're losing so much money on this.
So let's think about that, Gia. Let's think about that. Let's just say, like, okay, so let's say you are losing $2,000 a month, right?
Mhm.
$2,000 a month, that's $24,000 in a year. $24,000 in a year times, 10 years, right?
Mhm.
That's 240,000, right, in 10 years. So if we say for 30 years and whatnot, okay, it's a little shy of 750, right? 730, 720. So in that situation, if the house is already worth $1.5 million, it's still worth it. It's kind of like you're putting in a really, really super long-term savings account.
Oh, I don't know, Lisa. That's just crazy. Like $720,000. That's if taxes don't keep going up and insurance don't keep going up.
Right, but think about that. Think about that, Chia. Think about that. If you're investing, your initial investment is $500,000, and you're putting in that $24,000 a year. Okay, so it's 720 plus 500,000. Okay, not just 720. So that's 1.220 already, but you get to
Right.
stretch it out. By that time, it's already worth 1.5 million. So you're already gaining over $300,000 worth of equity right now, right?
Right.
So if you play really truly the long game, and if you have the funds to do it and whatnot, it's not a bad investment, yeah.
That's true because you're losing money now, but later down the road, when you actually sell or refinance, cash out, or do any of that, you got
Right.
so much equity in the home. Because this area, Frisco, I know in 30 years is going to be way more than what it is right now.
So look at the history, Chia, and say, okay, when was the last sale and how much was that for?
Let's see if it shows. I don't think it shows.
Was it too long ago?
It was too long ago. So here's what I'll do. Here's what I will do.
I'm going to put a guess that it was bought for around $40,000.
With the low ball? Oh, you meant when they owned it?
Right.
Man, it could be.
That's my guess, guys.
Well, let me just look something up. I'm just curious. I'm looking up the tax record for this property so that way everybody can see it. There it is. 3-1. There's the address, Northview Court. Okay, let's go to when they bought it. They bought it in 68 for $52,000.
Close.
68, y'all. October.
19. Okay.
Um, 68, 52,000.
Okay, so that was 56 years ago, right? 56 years ago.
Never taken money out or did anything. So there's so much equity in this.
Yeah. I mean, they must have paid it off a long time ago.
There's no loan, so they definitely paid it off.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is insane. Wow. Look, estimated rent is about $3,400 in that area. They're renting it out for only $460.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. 1,100 square foot. See? Everything's gone up. Property tax, everything.
So
This is
56.
mind.
Yeah, in 56 years, the value went up over 8 times, right?
Yep.
So let's just say you divide that in half. 30 years, almost half of, 56, right?
That's a
So you
lot.
divide that in half and think about that. If it's worth 1.5 now and you multiply that by 4, is it still worth it? It's still worth it, Chia.
It is. But the only person that's willing to be able to bite the bullet now and be able to afford that kind of upfront investment for the 30 plus years is the investor, like what you said, that needs
Absolutely.
that they need this depreciating value, or they need this, just to offset their taxes.
Absolutely. I was going to say that too.
Mhm.
If this if they utilize this to offset their taxes and everything, and after that 30 years, and if the tenant passes and whatnot, they get to capitalize on that.
I am so curious. Which would you guys like do this, like Chichi fans? If you guys had the opportunity to buy this home like it is right now, as is, with this tenants, with these terms, would you be willing to do that? Like, is this something that you would be interested in? Because if you're able to keep the cost, and I mean, bite the bullet for those 30 years, lose money
Right.
now, think of it as your lottery scratching ticket, because it's gonna be worth like 3x this amount. No, not this amount. What it's really worth, like 1.2, it's probably gonna be
Yeah.
worth 3x that when you get it, maybe even more.
Right. Right.
Oh man, that is interesting for reals.
Hmm.
That is very interesting, and it's already pending. You know,
Yeah. I would not be surprised if it sold for way more than this 488.
yeah,
Because if
19.
you're an investor and you crunch the numbers, and for me, the numbers are so basic today for me. But yeah, if they calculate it and they actually look at their tax deductions and everything like that, they might be putting in a lot less.
Mm, 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 mm. Over 100 years old. Oh, okay. So the former male owner passed away in the home. 100 years old. Wow. Over 100 years old. Good for him. He lived a long life. Okay. All right, y'all. There you go. If it comes back on the market, you guys might get an opportunity. If it comes back on the market, you might get another opportunity to become a millionaire in 30
Right.
years if you willing to eat the cost now.
Right. I mean, you never know if they're able to. I mean, God forbid, if the tenants pass and everything, and the investor is able to sell even sooner and whatnot.
Yeah, that's
That may be the
crazy.
case.
Okay, well, did you want to go over anything on the agenda, or you want us to
Yeah.
just start reacting to some videos?
Let's start reacting. You sent us some really good videos to react to.
All right, let's do it.
I'm here in California and I want to show you how much the home prices have gone up here over the last several decades. If you take a look at this house behind me, it's currently on the market for $775,000. And I'm curious if you guys can guess what this house sold for 40 years ago, back in 1984. Because when I looked at this listing on Zillow, I said, oh my goodness, the owner of this house, the appreciation they received was unbelievable. I don't think it's going to be replicated. It can't be replicated into the future because they bought that house for $80,000.
Yep, believe it, y'all, and it can be replicated
Hmm.
because nobody knows. Because think about this: cost of living is gonna go up.
Yeah.
And cost of living is gonna go up, just like people want minimum wage to go up, like what it did recently to $25 an hour. You know, everything's going up. So that's why if you are able to hedge and buy real estate, just like this one right here, an investor that buying this is strategically hedging. You know, so yeah, I believe it. Can you imagine you own this home at $80,000 40 years ago, and
Hmm.
now you ain't got no loan 'cause it's paid off, 30-year loan, so you paid it off already, and then you sell it now. This is all the equity you got, cash, right?
Yeah.
And of course, paying the commissions, paying the fees, and all that, you're probably left with like a little bit in the higher end of 600K, but that's still a lot of money from just owning a home like that was able to provide shelter for you and your family for the past 40 years.
Hmm.
So like that's a lot of money, y'all. That could change people's
Hmm.
lives. So that's pretty powerful, because for like the average family to be able to save up that kind of money, even in that amount of years, is still very challenging to do.
Yeah.
and this is the home that they are already in need of, because you gotta live in a home, right, and provide shelter for your family. So that's pretty powerful right there, and that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, this is crazy.
back in 1984. In this zip code here in Carson, south of LA, the typical home value is 600, 700,000. The monthly mortgage payment is over 5,000 a month or 60,000 a year. And the people here, they simply don't make the type of money where they're able to afford that. And so what I'm curious about is the fact that what's California's housing market going to look like the next 40 years? Because I don't think this appreciation can continue. People
Here's another question I would say. Do you want to wait another 40 years to find out if you could have or should have owned something? Because I know right now, with inflation, with everything, cost of living, everybody is making barely making ends meet, paycheck to paycheck, working 2 3 jobs just to have or maintain the same lifestyle. Imagine in 40 years what it'll look like, so, like, you can still shelter yourself from that. Yes, it's gonna cost slightly a little bit more than rent on the short term, but on the long term, it's gonna be so much more valuable and more impactful for you and your family, because everybody needs a shelter. It's either gonna be from a landlord that's gonna keep raising rent on you, or it's gonna be from your mortgage that, at least in case of emergency, you have equity, So that's what I would ask you.
simply can't afford it. And I'm curious what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know. So I'm here in California.
I think it's gonna get worse before it gets
Yep.
better,
Yeah.
and at least, because despite rates being high right now, and despite the prices being the way it is, been going up for the past year for 3%, more. You guys saw the data that I showed you guys earlier. Um, Again, you can shelter yourself from that, right? You can hedge yourself from that. If you get a home, dude, open up a side gig and use one of your rooms, or do an ADU, or do something with it to be able to offset that cost, and so that you can maintain that house and be able to keep it for your kids, or keep it as like a, safety net, as a retirement, because a lot of people that I know, they don't really have a plan for when they
Yeah.
retire. They don't know how they're gonna do it based off of today's economics, and all they know is pay their bills. Just keep paying their bills, and then barely save because they gotta make ends meet. They gotta, you know. So if you're really gonna be paying for that rent, why not, instead of paying for that rent, pay for that mortgage? You're already paying for it. And then when the time comes and you've cashed out the house, no more payments now, and you want to retire and just travel the world, then take that equity out and put it in an annuity and just take the interest out every year. I think you'll be fine. I think that'd be great, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, um, it's it's sad whenever I speak to a lot of families, and a lot of them, have a lot of regrets that they should have bought, or that they were a fool to listen to friends and family that told them it was too expensive, and then they were kind of following the bandwagon, um, when they should have just, like, followed their own, like, their own hearts, listen to their own intuition, so yeah. And I know things happen for a reason, and there's going to be more families that we're going to talk to that's going to feel like that, you know. But if you are in a situation right now to where you could afford to buy a home, even if it's not something you want, but it's something that you need, and it's something that you wouldn't mind renting anyways, just get it. So that way you can shield yourself from all of these increases that's going to happen. Yes, insurance is going up. Yes, property taxes are going up, but eventually they will come down along with prices and everything. Yes, but if you maintain your security or you maintain your job, your careers and all that, and you maintain that home, in the long run, it's going to come back up, and it's going to build equity and build wealth for you and your family, just like these people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You ready for the next video?
Yes.
Okay.
The housing market is not going to crash. Here's the reasons I don't think it's going to crash. Number one, this is not 2008. People in 2008 were unqualified, got adjustable rate mortgages. When those mortgages ballooned up, they couldn't afford the payment, went into foreclosure, it rose the supply and crashed the market. We're not seeing that today. Number two, 42% of all homeowners do not have a mortgage. They only have property tax and homeowner insurance for like $600-700, which is cheaper than every one-bedroom apartment in the entire country.
Ding, 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 ding. Kind of like this one. No mortgage, only property tax and insurance and utilities.
Wait, 42%. Where's he getting that statistic from?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. 42%. But I think that's what I've heard a lot too, is a lot of people in the US, not just California or whatever, in the US, a lot of people, a lot of homeowners don't have mortgages. Why? You think it's a little off?
I am very surprised by that. I am going to look that up because
You think it's higher or you think it's lower?
I think it's much lower.
I think it's higher.
Okay.
I think it's higher.
What?
The reason I think it's higher is because, for one, this property was like 10 days ago. Okay. But because I think with how everything is going on today, because I know people that do this, Lisa, they're in a race or they're in a hurry to pay off their mortgages. So instead of just paying the monthly mortgage that they owe, they're paying way more towards principal. And they're not refinancing, and they're just paying it off quick, so that way they don't have a mortgage to deal with anymore. Did you find it?
Wow. I did. I actually am looking it up right now, and it seems like 40% and below. It's teetering between 38 to 40% across the board in the U.S. I think it's more of like in California. I don't see how people can do that so quickly.
It's probably not in California. It's in other states for sure. Some people in California are able to do that. Hint, hint, this home, right?
Yep.
They've owned it for so long, so I think there are a few percentage of old homeowners that definitely fall in this category of no mortgages.
Right. In California alone, it's only 33%, which makes more sense to me. Yeah.
Yep. But though,
Nationwide.
it's probably around there. So yeah.
Number three, 62% of people who do have a mortgage have a 4% interest rate or lower. And a lot of these folks bought 5, 10, 15 years ago. Their loan amount was small. Their interest rate is small. So again, their monthly burden is $1,200 to $1,500, cheaper than the average rent in the entire country.
Now, this is actually very true too, right? Because
yeah,
like even buyers today are still talking about this year when they missed out on the high 2%, the high 3s, the low 3s, low 4s. We're probably not going to see that for like another few decades. Right? So, yeah, just there you go.
Number four, institutional investors buying up tens of thousands of houses in the $300,000 to $500,000 range, and it's killing the supply, which is kind of keeping the prices stagnant right now. Number five, qualified buyers, people who bought in the past handful of years but make $150,000 to $200,000. But if you're going to buy a house today, make sure these two things are true. Number one, that you can comfortably afford the monthly payment for 30 years, regardless of the interest rate. And number two, you're going to hold that property for the next 10 to 15 years. The housing market.
Very accurate. Again, housing market is not going to crash. Okay. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's waiting for that. It's not going to happen. Most of the time when you hear somebody talk about it, they're probably trying to sell you a course about how to wholesale or how to invest or listen to us so that way you could profit from the crash.
Right.
Or, they're landlords and they don't want you to buy. They're scaring you not to buy so that they could buy. Less competition for them, right? So
He makes
it's just,
really, really good, solid points. And one of the things is when he mentioned where in 2008, when there was that bubble and everything, where people, well, one, the loans weren't as, the guidelines for lending wasn't as stringent and whatnot. And the other thing is too, he talks about how like the average rent is. Most people are still paying below. This is important to know because most people now are paying below market rent, which means if worst case scenario, they can just rent out the home. They do not have to sell. Unlike in 2008, where that was not the case, most of the time their monthly mortgage exceeded what they could get for rent by a good chunk, and therefore they could not hold on to it even if they wanted to.
yeah. Okay, one last video. Okay, this one's very funny. It's directed towards millennials and Gen Zs.
All right.
Take a look at the numbers. Okay, totally. Yes, yes. Okay, so that's 17 million. So you have to put down 3.4 million. You have to put that down now in cash. And then your monthly payments are going to be 77,000 plus maintenance and tax. So basically $80,000 a month plus the 3.4 million that you're going to plunk down right now, okay? Okay, so now let's compare that to your current assets. Currently, savings, you have $7,000. You have less than 10 times less than one mortgage payment on this house. I'm just saying, what could I afford right now? Right now, you could buy a house that costs $7,000.
So I know that the numbers, this is just a funny comedian skit, but the numbers are very high and what they're referring to, it might be LA or Hollywood or whatever. But if you bring the numbers down to like today's economy or even the Sacramento market, me and Lisa deal with this, on a regular. Sometimes we do have those clients that, they feel since they could afford rent at X amount that they should be able to afford a house at X amount. But remember, qualifications on a rental versus a mortgage is two different animals and it's very different. So this is so accurate. That's why it's so funny because occasionally, sometimes me and Lisa do get individuals that want to buy this fantasy land, right? But really, when we try to bring them to reality, it it causes a lot of like frustration, and then they just can't really fathom why they can't buy the fantasy land.
Right.
And we have to go over numbers with them 2x, 3x, 5 times so that they could really, really look at their situation and finally admit that they still have work to do. And it's okay. Like I always tell first time home buyers, if you really want to know if you could qualify to buy that home that you've been browsing for the past couple of months or weeks, the best way to know is to talk to a loan officer like Lisa. So that
Yeah.
way she could break down your situation, collect your information, documentation, do a credit pull on you, and let you know based off of everything she's gathered how much you could afford. And then
Right.
from there, if it's not the amount that is enough to purchase the home that you've been eyeing, then what can you do to increase your chances? And Lisa will be able to go over that with you. Oh, well, you have this debt that you need to get rid of, or if your job increased this much, you could afford it, or you saved up this much, you could afford it. Like there's so much variables that could affect your qualification to the purchasing power that not every shoe is gonna fit one size. It's gonna be different and unique. So don't listen to your cousin. Don't listen to your brother-in-law, your family member or friends or anything like that. Listen to the person that you're meeting in front, so that way they could dissect your situation and inform you about how you could start buying.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I would recommend for you. Oh, Lisa, I kind of want to get your opinion on something.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, let me just share this with everybody. Hold on. There was a question asked in the group that I'm in, and I kind of want to share your thoughts on it. Hear your thoughts on it. Okay, so right here, okay. This person says, "Hi everyone, I'm not wealthy or even close to being wealthy, but I would like to be someday. And that's why I joined this group. Right now, my husband and I make about 120K yearly in our $26 worth of credit card debt. We want to pay it down as much as possible so we can buy a house next year and be able to maximize our buying power. We are tackling smaller debts first and are thinking about getting a personal loan to pay off the big ones and then work on paying off the loan off early. Do you think it's a good idea? On our big cars, we pay a minimum of almost $200 per month, and almost 90% of it goes to interest. So it seems like the best option is to pay it off with the loan so that my money is at least paying more of it off than just 10% each month. My issue is that we aren't able to pay it completely off by the time we want to start our home search. I don't want to carry that loan on my monthly DTI. I could be completely wrong about everything too, which is why I need your expertise. If you're here to pass judgment, please save your energy. I know we have been irresponsible, but we are trying our best to become better. Otherwise, I appreciate all the advice anyone could give. I'm eager to become a better version of myself and always willing to learn from anyone who is willing to share. Thank you.
Well, first off, I mean, this is really, really sincere and heartfelt and everything, And I actually had a client just recently contacted me in a similar situation because it's so small for me to see. Chia, did you say 26,000 or 126,000?
$26,000 worth of credit card debt.
26,000 is not that big. It may seem like that, okay, especially if you're making 120 something $1,000 a year. So what I would say is get your budget in order first. Find what your ability to save is on a monthly basis. Then take a look at all the expenses and what you can cut out first. I would say whatever the highest interest rate is, before you get that personal loan, if your credit is still good, there are so many credit cards out there right now that's offering 0% interest for 12, 24 months and whatnot. And before you go all of that, strategically take a look at that, because $26,000, you can absolutely transfer that balance into another credit card instead of a personal loan, which typically are about 10 to 15%. Okay. So strategically, if you did that balance transfer on your higher credit cards, transfer it into the 0% interest rate ones, okay, and trickle it down. Do the ones, not just the big or small, but the one that already has a higher interest rate, okay? So let's just say this person has 10 credit cards. One credit card is charging her 33%, one credit card is charging her 10%. Pay the one that's charging you 33% first, okay? Dave Ramsey does that snowball effect where he says, okay, pay your small ones first, then work your way up. It can be faster, okay? But if you do the one, okay, that is the higher one, I believe Vivian Liu, I think her name is, your rich BFF. Her strategy I like more just because it makes more sense to me to pay down the one that is more costly to you. Okay? Stop the bleeding, see where you can do it from there before you go the personal loan route.
Yeah, and I think the snowball effect only works if you commit to it. What I have seen is most time people free up that payment from paying off a debt, and then they use that money to go and spend more on play money. Instead, they
Absolutely.
should have been applying that same monthly obligations to the next card so that it increases the chance of it being paid off earlier. So I think the commitment is the hardest part for most individuals. But yeah, I agree. There's a lot of credit card companies out there that is willing to do transfers for 0% up to 24 months. Okay.
Yep.
But be warned though. Most times, those transfer cards do have a minimum fee that needs to be paid as an admin fee. So it might be 2%, 3%, 5%, depending on your credit or depending on who the credit card company is. So factor all those fees in to see if it's worthwhile before you transfer it into a big loan. It
Right.
may I mean, a personal loan might even be good too. Or what I would also add to it is if you have anything in your home that you know you don't use anymore, or memberships that you can let go of for the time being, um, sell those items, use that all to pay towards a principal, right? And then find a side gig to earn extra income just to dedicate towards paying down your credit cards and those monthly subscriptions, because you're already committing to that monthly payment. Obligate that towards your debt now too, as if you still have it, but just cancel the membership if you're able to or willing to, you know. So like Netflix, gym memberships, etc., things like that, you know. But
Right.
for sure, if you are making that amount, 120K a year, and you have $26,000 worth of credit cards, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, then you might need to compromise somewhere.
Right. Right.
Maybe you can't go out as much anymore, so it might just be cup of noodles for a minute, you know, and until you can get back on your feet. And it's okay. Don't be ashamed of it, you know, because it's your story, it's your life, it's your bills. Who cares what the next door neighbor down thinks, your family members or friends think? It's not their life, it's not their bills. You're trying to better yourself, you and your family, by trying to buy a house next year. So that's awesome, you know. So in the fact that you took the first step to admitting that you were irresponsible and you created this much debt, one, it's not that much debt.
Yeah.
Two, it's definitely doable. You could pay it off. And right now, you know, you're in survival mode. So just do whatever you can to come up with the money to be able to pay it off. And you can do it. You could definitely.
Yes.
There's so many resources out there. You could
There
definitely do it.
is.
$26,000 is not that much.
No, it's not. It's not. And before there's so many other ways that you can do it. Even let's just say, for instance, because you owe all of this, your credit might be not as good or whatnot. You can also contact your credit card company and tell them you're in a dire situation. And a lot
Yep.
of times, be like, okay, well, you won't be able to use your credit cards anymore, but we'll lower the interest rate for 6% or whatever, and we'll stretch out these payments for the next 5 years for you. So think about that. If you're stretching out $26,000 in 5 years, and you're paying a minimal interest, okay, that comes out to be roughly $433 a month. So that may not hit your debt to income ratio as hard, and you don't have to feel like you either pay off debt or you save money, pay off debt or save up money. There is a strategy that you could possibly do both, right? If you free up certain things that are in your life that's causing you not to be able to have that savings, take a look at that first, do your budgeting, and put that money that you would normally pay on, you know, another cup of Starbucks, something like that. Okay. I'm using a smaller scale, but if it's that subscriptions that's costing you $300-400, then stop that subscription, keep that $300-400, and then you're also saving because now you consolidated what you would have normally paid for the credit cards. If your credit cards, you're paying $1,000 to $1,500 a month, and it's not going anywhere because you continue to pay the minimum payments. Convert that, and you'll be able to free all of that up so much faster. $26,000 is very super doable.
Yep. So there you go, anonymous member. Hopefully, you know, there's a lot of great comments too that recommended a lot of good stuff. So you're in good hands. Again, there's a lot of resources out there, so I'm pretty sure you can do it. You know, you just gotta be consistent, persistent, and just remember the exit plan, the exit strategy, and stick with it. All right. Good luck to you. And that is it, y'all. We went a little bit over an hour, but I want to get Lisa's opinion on that because I think it would be helpful to a lot of people, because I know that a lot of people are in that same boat to where they racked up a lot of debt and they are living a paycheck to paycheck, or they have goals that they want to be able to meet by the end of the year or so forth. So it's definitely doable. We are in the day and age where there's so much information out there. There's so much resources out there. You just got to take the first step and just
Yeah.
do it. All right. And then with that positive note, we're going to let you guys all go. All right, Chi fans. Peace out. And we will catch you guys next time. All right.
Bye, Gigi fam.